When I was a young kid, I really did bad at school. I absolutely hated it. Something about I just couldn't sit at a desk and pretend to care about information that I knew had no utility whatsoever in helping me build or design the actual reality I wanted away from school. I just couldn't do it. Something about just perpetually lying to myself always reminded me in a sense of how I also felt that I was being lied to about everything else. Religion, belief systems, the old world, you're gonna go to college, you're gonna get this amazing job and everything's gonna be fine. And now you ask kids these days, Gen Z, whatever, and they don't feel that way at all. They feel more lied to probably than I felt lied to back then. And so in a way, I was kind of early. But when I was 11 years old, I basically was just totally checked out. Like, just like, all right, I'm gonna do my own thing. I don't care about this world at all. I'm just gonna focus on my interests and build my own education. And so when I was 12, I started making these things. Not this is like the actual tech deck. These are the ones you buy from Walmart and kind of skate around and grind on your books or whatever. But I started to find these in the stores and like, oh man, it'd be pretty cool if I made these. So I brought one home and put it in this clamp press here and got some piece of wood together and started carving them out and making my own homemade skateboards. And I would do this in the winter time in my basement or in the back garage here, using these same exact tools. Everything is basically hasn't changed since then. Something about having this own little area, this own workstation where I can control and build something that's real, something that I actually like to do, and then later start to make money from it. I mean, that was kind of trippy, man. I mean, for the first couple years building these things, it was just about the craft. I wanted to buy higher quality wood glue. I wanted to cut it into different shapes. Can I design a graphic that actually looks standardized and looks kind of cool? Can I start to print on the wood and lacquer it and coat it different? I've always had this mind in a way of how can I build things that are real, put them in front of people, and how can people respond? And when I start to look at this project I'm building here, reality designers, it's not really that way for some reason. And I've been reflecting and thinking a lot lately about what this meant to me. This was building something that was real. This was building something that actually felt like I was contributing something to a larger whole. Like it's something that you could buy, you could purchase, and it could be a part of your reality. Whereas before, I didn't really have that. And then when I had it, it was like amazing. It opened up the entire doorway of perception for me to do a lot of different things after that. I mean, I had troubles after, high school and finishing that, and I was homeless for a while. Then I went to Arizona and also ran into some troubles. Like my whole life in a sense has always been this ongoing journey of how can I create and build myself and productize who I am. And when you look at the self-development movement, that's all what this is. It's all about packaging and containing parts of you stored at a point in time when you most needed it, and then giving it to other selves that also need that same information to help them get to where you are now. I mean, when I was younger, I definitely was learning a lot from myself. I think that's the most misunderstood part about me when I was younger that other people didn't really seem to know. They didn't know that I was teaching myself things that, in a way, I kind of already knew. I was just remembering information that I already had. That's why I could think like an industrialist when I was 12 years old and think about putting my product on the wall. Before the internet and selling stuff on the internet was even a thing. I mean, this was 17 years ago. People, like, this wasn't really that world. And the world is now is just way different. I just seen so much stuff of what the world was going to be, and I wanted to be a part of it right away. And I think that, when I was growing up, I don't know, man, I just really felt lonely. I felt like there wasn't going to be any chance at all at anyone understanding me. Like I was going to have this perpetual problem my entire life of being misunderstood, and I was going to have to fight for my survival and fight to survive because maybe I wasn't ever going to be able to monetize my inner growth or what I really felt I was. When you're a person that really values integrity and morals and systems and putting things in the right place, in a strange way, you're also like destined for failure because people in this reality, they don't really seem to care about that, at least anymore. Maybe in these small town areas, I mean, like that's definitely a thing. And you go out there into the broader, larger world, and it seems like the people who lie, steal, and do bad things, they get ahead. And those of us who don't, we're just sort of lost, but then we're thinking we're more superior because we stick to our morals or our values or what we believe is true or something. And it takes a certain type of person that can go through that process and actually understand how true that is, and then keep doing that exactly how you're supposed to keep actually building your life consciously in a way that actually sticks to who you are and not get lost in all the crazy hype or trying to sell people stuff that doesn't matter. Like it takes kind of a crazy person in a sense who doesn't do that. You go on YouTube, man, it's just people like selling you stuff that you don't need. The same way the school system was selling you ideas you didn't need, now self-development people are selling you other stuff you don't need. Like in many ways, man, if you really look at your life, you actually don't need a whole lot. Life itself will teach you if you tap into the intuitive awareness that's always there and ready for you to be taught by it. You know, it's like alternate versions of you exist all around you. And so when you learn, you're remembering stuff that you already sort of knew. It's just it had to come in a certain format to make sense to you. And so that's how reality has always basically felt like to me. When I was making these things, that's all I was doing. I was just like, how can I teach myself what this should be? What is the form of what this should take in existence as? Then how can I closely mirror to what it's supposed to be? You do this with branding, you do this with websites, you do this with modern day marketing, anything that you take from an invisible form and you make it real. If you look at it closely, the connection between these things, you'll see that the real form that it becomes, if it's a good product, if it's something that's actually, you know, good and has a lot of traction, you can tell that it almost looks as though it should have been that way in the first place. And so all my job now is kind of just doing that, but for several different things all at once, is what should this thing be and where can I put it? And I think that that's what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. An advisor to, in a sense, of people and their products that they want to create that help build the better world that we all want.